Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to Films from Mars, the channel where we speak about Blu-rays, 4Ks, physical media treasures, and the weirdest corners of cinema. Today we're heading deep underground into one of the strangest releases to hit physical media in a while, the 2551 trilogy from Deaf Crocodile. If you ever wondered what happened if Mad Max, Eraserhead, and Mad God were trapped in an abandoned bunker and forced to make an experimental silent movie together, this might be the result. So what is 2251 Trilogy? Now, I learned about it on the Deaf Crocodile Instagram, and they kept on teasing this thing, and it had funky pictures that looked very Lynchish, very mysterious. Didn't really research much into it, but they kept on teasing it, and then they put a trailer out, and I'm like, oh, I'm into this. On the webpage, they had a great synopsis, which I'll read in a second. But you had to enter in your age to make sure that you were appropriate to buy it. So I'm like, what is this thing that I'm about to buy? And, you know, it's a trilogy based on an Australian director. I'm going to butcher his name. Let's just call him Norbit, okay? There's 3 films. The first one's called 2551, period, 01, The Kid. The next one is 2551, 02, Orgy of the Damned. And the third one is 2551, The End. Across 3 films, we follow this ape-man and a child trying to survive this grotesque underground dystopia filled with masked creatures, authoritarian police, mutants, bizarre rituals, and imagery that looks like it escaped from a nightmare. And the crazy thing about it is there's no dialogue. It's entirely told by the visuals, the music, the movement, and the atmosphere. So here's the synopsis that Deaf Crocodile has on the back cover of this. Imagine Mad Max run amok in the Muter Museum, a nightmarish subterranean world of superstition, magic, deformity, ruled by fear and oppression, and people with spine-chingling assortments of mutants and masked monstrosities, including faceless stormtroopers, parasites, nude figures, taxidermed monkeys, alchemists, and other occult horrors. Welcome to the unearthly visions of Australian artist and director Norbert Pfaffenbichler. Maybe I butchered it. 2551 Trilogy is a staggering combination of avant-garde cinema, post-apocalyptic sci-fi horror, monster action, dystopian physical nightmare, silent cinema techniques. All 3 features are told without dialogue and with different color tints. Endless subterranean labyrinths shot in abandoned WW2 bunkers in Vienna, myriad grotesque masks, industrial and death music, the brothers Quay, Jan Svenkenmeyer, David Lynch, all mixed together. Definitely not for the faint of heart. This experimental filmmaking is fans of Silent Hill, Hellboy 2, Eraserhead, Mad God, The Cure, Bauhaus, Metallica, Charlie Chaplin. In other words, it's nothing like you've ever seen. So I read that, and I'm like, I'm in. Let's go, you know? First of all, let's just talk about this beautiful packaging and artwork. This is the limited edition. It comes with 4 discs, 1 for each feature, and then a bonus disc that's got a whole bunch of stuff, commentary, some of his early work, and this beautiful booklet that you'll see here that I'll just kind of flip through, and you'll see some of the grotesque images and such. Beautiful stuff, and to me, this is why I love so much physical media. I mean, just looking at this is worth buying it, you know? So what did I think about the movies? There's 3 of them. They're all pretty short. I think they're all under 90 minutes. One of them might be a little bit more than 90 minutes. And maybe 20 minutes into the first one, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, you know? Nothing's offensive in it. It maybe felt slightly amateurish or artsy, but that doesn't really bother me that much. But I'm glad I stuck with it because I really, really liked it. It's definitely, it feels like they robbed a Spirit Halloween store and they had somebody have some weird catacombs that they rented, and a bunch of weird friends are running around doing weird things, you know? But as it starts to unfold with the plot, with the ape-man and the little boy, you really start to feel, you know, Charlie Chaplin in in the synopsis is, you know, it sort of is like the kid, you know, in 2551 or 2551, you know, in underground bunker. So, you know, it'd be silly for me to explain the three movies. They're kind of just experiences. You know, they should be hung in museum type experiences. And I'm really glad I watched them. The second one probably is my least favorite of the three, but had some really, really great visuals. And then after the second one, you're like, well, I got to finish it now. Watch the third one, you know, totally fine. But I think the first one might have been my favorite, even though I wasn't like super on board. And it takes a little bit to kind of understand what he's kind of doing with this, I guess. Did I think it was that disturbing, like where I needed to put in my age to buy it? I mean, maybe I'm just numb to these type of movies because I didn't really feel that it was that grotesque. I still think like Human Centipede 2 and Serbian Film are pretty disturbing movies, and I don't think there's anything in this that like reaches those levels. Is there some weird nudity and stuff? Sure, but it's not overdone, you know. Is it tasteful? I don't know if that's the right word either, but you know, it's there, but it's not there super to offend. There's a great scene, spoiler. It's sort of this weird like pile of people orgy sort of thing, and they like intermix it with worms and like keep cross-cutting. I think that's in the second one. It's really beautiful, and it goes on like longer than it should, but you're kind of glad it does type stuff. And there's great little like, you know, you look at screenshots or watch the trailer of this, there's like people that are only in it for 5-10 minutes, you know, with cool masks and stuff. There's tons of those littered throughout the movie and his journey. I have not dived into the special features, and I apologize, but I kind of want to learn more about the filmmaker. Sometimes these sets and you get into other stuff, it's kind of tough to like go through it all. But I know at some point I'm going to revisit it and go through it all. You know, I want to mention Deaf Crocodile, a brand that I'm really, really starting to like a lot. I think they focus a lot on, I guess, Eastern Europe cinema, even though this was from Australia, but they kind of have these a niche into foreign films or these perfect movies for the channel that I'm working on here. And I have maybe 15 of the releases. I started with a couple of animated movies, and then a couple of these live action ones. Reading whoever writes their synopsises, they're great. They hook me immediately, and then I want to get them. But you know, I'm really happy that, you know, a Blu-ray studio like that is putting something out like this. The exposure. I remember I saw What Is It and It Is Fine, the Crispin Glover movies, and I would say they kind of have a similarity, I guess. But, you know, we're never going to see those released according to him. And, you know, I'm just glad that I can watch this. You know, I have a theater in this room here, and it was a great, I actually watched it in the afternoon, but this would be a great midnight movie, you know, over the course of a couple nights, or like all in one chunk, you know. And I hope places do that eventually. Tons of information. I mean, the booklet in here is, you know, massive, video essays, behind the scenes, having more of the director's short films. I mean, you can become an expert on somebody pretty quickly with a set like this. So I really recommend it. I mean, if you're a Lynch fan, or you're into experimental horror or avant-garde filmmaking, you know, Mad God, which I don't know if a lot of people have seen, the Phil Tippett stop motion movie, definitely has a lot of elements of that in this. You know, and you know, sometimes you don't need like a paint by numbers sort of storytelling. Maybe you need something like this to kind of like make you appreciate maybe the paint by numbers movies more, or to appreciate just someone really going for it. And I really appreciate that about this, and that's probably my biggest takeaway. So have you guys seen this movie? Have you even heard of it? Have you dived into any other Deaf Crocodile titles? And if you haven't, please check out their webpage. And they have sales every now and again, and they really have a lot of great movies that I'll bring up constantly on this channel, because they're not the best, but they're definitely unique enough to talk about all the time. So I rate this pretty high. I'm really, recommend you guys taking a risk and getting it. So like and subscribe, and until next time, keep spinning those discs, and we'll see you next time.